You want to play him anyway? Then have you away. I don't know how many times that we're gonna try do this all over again. Because I don't want to keep failing this long. Because I'm having trouble making putting the live stream together. Because that's seriously what I'm doing. Because I'm having trouble with this thing here. Yeah, but also I did make some definitive covers, so you see on my television right there. I started making Dirty Prod using one of those two villains I know each other, which is called Stanley and Richard. You basically can tell that. What's up, us fan? Hello. Yeah, you can see the heart gleaming for the television. I made this back in 2024 because this is basically how I make covers, and yeah, that's basically how the point works. To quote this constellation between I use the backgrounds because I use Game Master because that's basically how people used to do on the internet because that's basically how the point was. I used to make these models because that's basically how the models present the process of the model and in here. But one thing I don't find about that, I'm pretty sure. Let me just skip to where Miguel and Brian used to be here. Is that they basically just lashed out of these 2 inches called Steamy Richard. I'm not going to explain how they used to be. But that's why people call me a dirty engine. The engine. That's what they call me, a dirty engine most of the time, because that's basically how annoying this how it looks out. But also credit to my friends as well on the internet, because I call this legislative friends DT, because hey Lucas. I guess that's pretty much thing here. I'm gonna try and be responsible as possible to be quote. Let me just go see how my subscribers are doing. I actually hit 269 recently. Yeah, 269. That's basically how this works out. The reason why I be making some progress is because I used to be a fan of Talon on YouTube and TikTok and other things. But the reason is I use Pixar to make the theme, to make custom themes, because the first time I tried it on my first channel, it actually works out pretty well for me. And the reason why I add characters is because I call this the Super Smash Bros. Chaos Battle. That's film 1, but don't ask me what happened to Fin 2, okay? I don't want to know. I really don't know what happened to Film 2, because it just got deleted, okay? That's how it happened to Film 2 as well. I don't want to know why. But anyway, the reason why I use Talon Screw on videos, because I be making those using the Power Decorator and Get Master to make that, but I don't want any spoilers following this video, because that's how the Mickey Mouse Crack House is represented by Talon Screw on, and this one shows Squarepants Crack Pants. That's how it used to represent the characters in the film. Because it's both. It says radar, but I used to know that's basically how these counts from the thing. But the one thing I really noticed here, let me just skip to this part right here where let's skip to this part right here. Is what I found positive scenes for the consoles about Sunshine Saving Script, because it's like a Super Smash Bros. Collation, because the one thing I found this scene from TikTok here, let me just skip here for a second. Is what I found Scream, which basically it was like Talon without a hack. It's basically his him was bad, because I found this scene to become kind of curious, because that was supposed to be the very entertaining for the process era. But as for scene 3, let me just go right here. Is what I found to make loud noises in these videos. I did this because I make these loud videos in the process, because that's how I use Campmaster to make loud noises, because that's how this represent the process in the postulation here. But And then we get to the part where Richard yelled at me, because that's how basically I use loud noises, because I use these loud noises to represent the loud encourage of what's up, Trey Fun Studios, and Griffin Ilmas. Here's on my stream, as well. That's basically how it used to be. There's my Thomas OC next there, and I was concerned, and Richard's eyes turned green, because, well, I stole it, because, well, why not? Because I used it in my videos, because that's how I represent to make these models, because they're made from James A. Williams, 1966, and that's how they represent as well. See here. Also, in the scene I did made is what Richard's trying to. Nothing much. Just want to explain how I use these epics. I think we're getting to the part where Richard's trying to hit me with the bear. I started crying. You can see my hands right in the face. So I just got knocked. That's basically how. That was one of my old models, because I used the every mouth and the tears from Pixar, and that's how I represent the loud noises in the film as well. That's how I decided to fight back, because, well, I think I actually did hit the wrong person. Is it Mickey Mouse? I'm pretty sure I did hit him, because, well, that's basically the point there. But the one thing I found constantly on the internet is I first met Equal Thomas on TikTok as well. That's basically how you use Thomas to correct friends, and the other process about to come, the process about what used to be in the films, because I did the voice acting in these videos, because that's how I represent to make these progress, because I use Kitmaster to use the titles of the videos, those are the videos, but it does make sense of where I start off by making those voice actings in process, process. But the one thing I made here, let me just go right here to find out where I hit. Nope, 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 nope. Where did I put this thing? Oh, there we go. I call this the epic chaos battle of SpongeBob SquarePants, Mickey Mouse, and the Thomas the French franchise and other characters. That's basically how. So I collected all the talents for an old playlist, old videos right here. They're They're unleashed. That's why they got chained up in the process. The process where I collect those, including I add the first scene, which is that one there. That one there, because, well, it was from my old TikTok account. Yeah, that's version 1, where I was trying to hang out with my best friend Carter Johnson, which will I basically make that process, and there's Lucas right there. I did the voice acting on them, because that's how I represent to make these voice actors for the series, because, well, I did the normal and lower pitches on these phones, because I did max as well on my custom my version, including Halo as well. But that's pretty much what they credit goes to Brian for these. Wait, is that you? Hold on. Let me go back. Let me go back to the first page. Because that was the second scene I made there. It's basically I created a symbol called a legend, the Chaos of Doom. That's my picture right there with a shield and other things here. I was from my, well, I created the most sort of. I included I made the old version. The old version, I do have the shock faces for these ones, but that's pretty much what I did so far in version 1. But as for these rest of the scenes, yep. Also, also, despite that making the process of including I add my OC into this, because, well, that's the reason why I had to do this, because I not right. It's just gonna make me go crazy. But who cares? It's basically like I did some process to make my OC look nice, but not that handsome. But I will go totally entertaining. But I did make that part right there, because, well, it was basically just not on the process, because, well, here's how I add the first, because I'll turn the volume. We can see it. It went down. Let's see. Why couldn't the 11-year-old get into the pirate movie? Right. It was rated R. Yeah, that's pretty funny, indeed. Indeed. Also, I do add my OC into my previous videos because, well, that's how I represent here. But you probably wonder when I had this scars in my first because, well, I was actually like saying the A3 peppercorn looking because, well, I don't care how much I don't care how much I care how much let's look at that because, well, some people did behind the scenes, like the person here, also Hello Scully and whoever that blah blah whoever the blah blahs used to be. Also, I first made Lettery Compost was 2011, I think it was. I think it was. But when I first started making crossovers using these characters, I used these processing to belong to activating the process, activating the progress. But the progress I made that basically just take a little sense between these evil engines up against the good engines that basically doesn't make any sense. That makes sense. Uh, you could say these are like evil crossovers or good crossovers, but I don't care how much this represent the progress of that. Also, on the left, you could see my symbol right there. You can see it. Yep, that's the Thomas face I add in my OC. I decided to make it look better because I do like the Jane's version, but I got this one here. It was from Roblox, and this one here is my old version because I tried to make a curve my profile picture, which is basically last year, because I want to make it look better, but it didn't work out for me. So I decided to go with that because that's how I first make these because I feature my OC-ness because, well, I decided to make a good face, but not that bad face because, well, I decided to make this. I decided to make this. Let me just skip ahead to this point here. On here, I add possibly one of my favorite characters. This is Mario. You can barely see him because I made a cropped circle out of this. There's I don't know if you can see my hand right there. There's Luigi, Mickey, and Minnie Mouse. I think that's Sonic, and I think that's SpongeBob right there. You can barely see him. And over there is me. So that's what I made to make the progress about how can I make this. Also I did this. So I did this because, well, if you're a Letty friends, you want to be truly imitated. I decided to add two scenes together in the same way where I made made this as a duo post. It will post these here. I just knew that sound for that first video, but that video right there made from Lundery. It's kind of a not perfect sound effect because, well, that's that's pretty much the sound effects I've done to make this because that's pretty much the instinct. Also, this is a volume 4, but number 2 um for the Epic Chaos 2, it's very interesting when I made London Recompost's first OC. It's a duck, but it's 26 because, well, 6 as well. That's how let's see. Also, the second scene, I did make Lucas who gets Chad the special treatment because, well, Jack is from Brian Friends and Lucas is made by me, so that's how I made these models because the models represent the process about how I made these things. I also had multiple motion blur in this one because, well, I try and make the perfect scenes of how to make things right because, well, that's how things. Also, I did a special where Rich Trust Determined Side was basically how Scuba Trust Determined Side because, well, I used the doubles. I use an auto relation, use an auto relation for that instead because that's how I represent to make these models because that's where I first started making progress about when I use these. Like, when I use my anger expressions in my OC, I use that Thomas face because that was one of my old OCs. Because, well, right there. Go for that scene right there. I made this cover. That's basically the point of I use on the contest of 2011 versus Talon because well, that's how I use him as an example of how I use him most of the time. That's how I represent that little processing of yours. Think of this overground process around Thompson of the little concentration, especially on number 102, I think it was. I decided to use one of these called Jerry and Percy Productions. When I first used this artworks, I used it for different as well. And also, I give warning to all users because these videos are not made for me because they're from towns from YouTube and TikTok as well. I made my own audios to begin with because they will cause you cursing, yelling, and now this and other things. But there's also profanity in these videos, also because yours have been warned to be interesting. But that's basically how they represent over that little countries of mine to begin with. But that that point when I'm going right here. What? Stop! Is that I'm getting that jeans blood face right there. That's basically how. Well, I'm not. Well, I can't really sing, but I first tried filming and stuff on Roblox because I use recorder to basically recover the scenes, and the scenes when I made here can be overground around constantly because well, constellation can have fair abuse because these scenes from Talent Row can cause better schools, better fable abuse, and other things as well. I know this doesn't make sense, but I know this will come to an end over the round. Also, I try to make the scenes that there's flash right there. I first started doing these things because well, I can't really tell this is a little bit blurry, so I had to zoom in this point. But that's how this represent the scenes and the processing and the content about the little fair abuse of mine. But I know this. I know this is. I know this is supposed to be. But ever since I started to make this my rant series. So I first started Jaden. Uh, but don't mind the rest. Don't mind the rest of these things. I got them handled. I did the Raid on Let's Just Go, which is now getting canceled, and we get the new Thomas stuff back. That's basically who was that user ago? I'm gonna try to check it out. I think his name is Great John the Great. He's something great. That's how the translation here. The three cans gets around it, judged by the user who hates the show, is called the Norwegian Studios Logo Show. And number four, the fourth video I have in my playlist. Hold on, let's see. I think its name is Newt the Robot. Vor Singy Skibbity dot yes as be it. I can't say the rest. And Edward Strikes Out, Emoji Project, Jaspered, which I'm neutral with him, along with Thomas the Tank Engine, No One, and Brian Dewar. Yes and Orange, yes, Blue and no, and other blah blahs. I'm getting here. I'm getting here. That's the thing. That's the thing I don't basically get to understand about. Also, that's basically at the point where I'm getting on this playlist together because well, I mashed them all together in the same way. To sorry about that. Also, there's my new video. If you haven't watched it yet, well, the link's in my community post. Also, why is you're probably wondering why I made Richard.exe. Well, I made this for something like this. I call it Train Video for Fun. I mean, Trainer 67's Multiverse Villain Revenge. Kind of looks like Plankton's Robot Revenge and Mario's Madness, but it's a different style. It's green, and it's full of green lightning, green blood, and other things I haven't think here. I'm not showing blood because, well, that's the blah blah I'm talking about. Also, that's how it represents the little my very purpose videos. Uh, yeah, that's how I usually make progress of making the finest videos at all. And when I make more crazy videos on YouTube, you'll be able to see me get even more crazy. So I think I'm gonna sign off here. I hope you enjoyed the live stream as well. I'll be back on more progress in the future. So yeah. So bye bye for now.